stick here, eating some pie, having some coffee. And coloring. All right, so as most of you know, what we do here is I talk about healing trauma using the chakra cycle, the wheel of the year that has been followed by a really fucking long time by witches, which is more, yes, there are male witches, but it is definitely a more female-centric spiritual practice. And it's a practice, it's a craft, it's something you show up for, it's not something that's done for you. Especially, so I'm a solitary practitioner, and I am an art witch. I use creativity as well as the chakra system and the wheel of the year and the moon cycles to guide my own focus and my own intuition, and build upon my own inner power. And that's what we've been talking about since the last couple weeks. With May 1st, we entered the solar plexus cycle of the year, and it's the element of fire. It's from May 1st to June 21st, which is the summer solstice here in the northern hemisphere. And just before we dive deeper in that, yesterday I've been asking questions about power, and this was prompted by this one book I shared. You can look back a couple of videos, and I have all the books I'm working with currently. But one of the books I'm working with, her question for the power chakra cycle is, how are you using your power? And one of the things I mentioned yesterday is, what kind of power do you want? So I talked about, I really wanted heart-focused power. And the reason I came to this conclusion was after years of doing self-help and very masculine type of approaches using neuroscience, and a friend of mine had turned me on to this. By the way, that was the butter yellow I was working with, and now I'm moving over to apricot. I want to do a little bit of apricot. I'm working on shortbread cookies. This is an aside. Let's see if I like that. Kind of give it that just baked look. Yesterday I showed you I color blocked. So one of the things I would see happen, and this happened for myself too, is, they're like, okay, you're powerful, you can do this, you can do that, you just need to believe. This is why you can do these things. This is how your brain works. This is how your unconscious memory holds on to information. And I wanted to see if I could apply this information to triggers and trauma, and how I felt for most of my life very powerless. And that becomes the state of normal when you've grown up in a situation where remaining powerless is survival. That's how you survive among people who, as soon as you show any power, you are ostracized, or you are verbally or physically attacked. And finding power, even in therapy, like therapy was like, okay, this is what the fuck happened, this is what's going on. But not necessarily in therapy did I learn to be powerful. I learned tools, I learned language to use, but it still ended up having, power comes out of a personal experience of feeling good and effortless and grounded in your truth and what you're doing. So as long as I kept trying to do what other people told me I needed to do, excuse me, to feel powerless, seemed like I kept having really wonky results. And I saw this in the workshops I took. They would tell you, okay, set this goal, and they tell you how to set the goal, and I would set the goals, and to my fucking surprise, like one of my goals came true, and it really blew me away. It was the first time I ever manifested something, and I didn't really believe it would work. And I had enough, I started being the captain of my own life and the captain of my own ship. So instead of feeling like I had to push my power like I did when I would have to confront people in relationships that I felt uncomfortable in, I was unable to see my part in how I was giving my power away. And so it was frustrating. It was so automatic to just roll over and it was just, I didn't want to deal with all the confrontation. Like I would just walk away from so many situations because it just wasn't fucking worth it to me. I realized I'd rather be alone than keep trying to convince someone that they needed to treat me differently. And there's a meme that says, it's like, you have to let go of the people who are committed to misunderstanding you. So I went through a phase in my life where I thought I would never get married. I thought I'd never be alone. I thought I'd always be alone. I wouldn't ever have people I was close to because I consistently felt that it was easier to be alone than constantly try to convince people. And now I can look back and see my choices and what was going on, but at the time I was unable to differentiate. So when I talk about what kind of power you want, one of the things that came up for me when I would see this in my own, and then when I went on to go teach NLP and hypnotherapy and use these tools as well with yoga and other classes I used to teach, you encourage people to set the goals really high. Then the problem is that you set the goal so big, but you don't know how to achieve it. So then it's, once again, you fall back into that cycle of feeling powerless. And whenever I felt powerless, this is also when I would sink into emotional eating to self-soothe. When I joke around, but it's really true. When I really started asking myself, like, is this fucking worth it? Is this worth it? Is this a fuck yes or a fuck no? And am I doing something I feel like I should be doing, or am I doing something that I really in my heart want to do? And this is when I just started saying, to people, fuck them and bless them. And if they don't get me, I had to really go, okay, how important is it? Like with my mom, as much as we struggled with our communication, it was really important to me because I saw how much effort my mom put into making that effort with me. And we recognized each other's efforts as much as we struggled. And being brought up by mom who had untreated PTSD and chronic pain, it was fucking challenging. And I misunderstood her a lot until I was older and could understand more of why she projected her emotional needs onto me the way she did when I was a kid. Not that that's an excuse, but I'm saying there started to be more clarity around the relationship. And that's kind of what happens is when you start coming from a place of your own truth and your own power, and you start calling out what you see instead of making excuses for it. Because once again, if the natural state was to be powerless to survive, to sustain the relationships, then there was all this anger that festered and emotions that was stuffed down with the emotional eating. When I started being honest in my relationships and risked losing people in my life, which I did. I remember the time my mom once asked me, like, why aren't you more respectful? And I took a deep breath and realized it was now or never. And I said, you never believed me about the sexual abuse, and she believed my abuser. And this created a big rift for a long time and distance. So once again, it's when you get clear, okay, what kind of power do you want? Do you want power out in the world? Do you want to appear powerful to other people? Or do you want to feel powerful within your own being? Do you want to be powerful that the information that's coming into you, what you're feeling through your senses, what you're feeling with your heart, what you're seeing in your imagination, your thought forms, you're able to follow that trail. So when it comes to your chakra story for the third chakra, the power chakra, the age is 14 to 21. Root chakra is age 0 to 7. The sacral chakra, the second chakra, is age 7 to 14. The power chakra is age 14 to 21. So what kind of power did you have then? What did you feel powerful doing? At that age, I felt powerful in the ocean. I love swimming in the ocean. I felt powerful as a body surfer. I started going to dance clubs. I loved to dance. I felt powerful on the dance floor. Because I loved doing this so much, I didn't give a fuck what other people thought. Whether my form was bad or good, or my moves were good or whatever. If I danced with someone, didn't dance with someone, I didn't give a fuck. This is where I was able to unwind all the tension that was built up from surviving by making myself small, by pushing myself down. And being a tall person, that was another big part too. I had very bad postures because I was always trying to appear smaller than what I was, because I didn't like standing out. But no matter what, because of my height, I do stand out most of the time in a room. So as I got older, my desire for power wasn't so much to convince other people that I was powerful, or convince other people to love me, accept me the way I was, or to believe me. It became more about believing and trusting my own instincts and being able to be powerful moving through the world. So I'm going to go another shade darker to keep working on these edges so they look like they were just baked. And this is an orange yellow, and I'm still working with the watercolors. Just FYI, like my husband made me this really cool pencil box out of, I'm going to slowly pan over, out of this Saltine box, and I got Black Widow pencils, which I think are awesome. And I got Prismacolor pencils, which are very dense and rich and kind of threw me off at first. And these, the Black Widow and the Prismacolors, these were both recent birthday presents. And what I'm finding is I really like those to use last to layer in the color. And then I have my Crayola, which I love because I know the Crayolas and worked with them for so long. If I'm looking for a specific color, I know how to find it. And then I got my brand new watercolors, which is what I'm working with right now to fill in. I color blocked yesterday in yesterday's video. And there's so many shades in the watercolor. This is what I really like, is being able to slowly move from light to dark to get these kind of rich shades. That's all I have to say about the chakra today, but think about what kind of power you like?